Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 34th episode of the Orcocast. We have a packed panel today. We have Lord Val Gaming.
Hi. I'm distracted again. Oh my god. How do you do it?
The show must be so important to you, really.
How do you do it? You always call me off guard. Jesus Christ, man.
The show must be really, really, really important to
He
you.
does it on purpose.
He tells me, he tells me all the time how important the podcast is to him, yeah? And once he's on the podcast, he's constantly distracted. He's like, what? What did that weird man next to me say? Huh? I was busy posting on freaking TikTok!
Oh my god.
Orc is bugging the bamboo out of me this early. What's going on?
Why you guys do that to me?
Also, on the panel is the one and only Professor Panda.
Hey, happy Saturday, professionals.
And, of course, my beautiful moderator, Mr. Mega Milk himself, Bum Bum.
Hello.
We are talking about two things today, I've heard. First thing is TikTok and its influence on the streaming world. And we are talking about Dirt 5. And no, we're not talking about illicit weird movies. We are talking about the racing game. Let's go, gentlemen. TikTok first.
I think we shall start with Dirt 5.
Okay, then let's start with the dirty stuff first.
As soon as Val realized which Dirt 5 we were talking about, he was like, you know what? Let's get out of the way.
Yeah, let's get it out of the way.
Not as interested.
Okay, do I need to, in the post editing, do I need to put a Brazos logo up at the corner, or is that...
Yes. The answer is
Please.
always yes.
Please do.
Okay.
Please do.
I will do that. Brazos.
All right, Batman, you open it up.
Yeah, open it. Open it
Yeah,
wide.
Jesus.
Oh, I know that Val has probably played it, but I was always a big fan of the Colin McRae rally games.
Man, Colin McRae,
And
those
then
were the games.
obviously when Colin McRae really died, and obviously they dropped his name from the series, but Codemasters still continued the legacy of those games. So then we got, it was Rally Dirt 2, Dirt 3, which was amazing. Dirt 4 was a disappointment. Then we got really Dirt 2.0, which is really Dirt is like the more simulatory spin-off of the series. And now we got Dirt 5, which I'm thoroughly disappointed with. And there's a variety of reasons, because the way they presented it, I expected something like Forza Horizon, or like something that's going to be loud, less serious than the previous ones, more content and more customization. What we got essentially is like a game on PSP. Yes, it's loud, it's colorful, but also it's shallow. The racing itself is not fun at all. The variety in cars doesn't matter, because only few cars matter because of the way they scale the performance and the characteristics of the cars. They completely nuked the driving system and the physics, essentially removing any sort of customization when it comes to the technical side. Like, the most in-depth you can get is how much assistance you want on your steering, and if you want the automatic or manual gearbox, and that's it. There is no spring tuning, no differential tuning, nothing. Essentially, it's turned into a kart racer with zero depth, and I was sorely disappointed, because I felt like I would just wasted 50 quid on a game that I've played for a couple of hours and probably never gonna touch again.
It just feels like, I don't know why, because we actually touched on this last week.
Yeah.
When we were talking about what's going on, because everyone seems to be doing the route of Project Cars 3. Project Cars 3 was a flop. Maybe an unpopular opinion, but Project Cars 3 was a flop. It was a huge flop for me. I was really looking forward to it, and the game is a complete mess. And it starts from the driving. And it's because they went the arcade way on a series which was originally the same. I mean, I cannot understand why Dirt is also one of the, it's the Colin McRae series. It's like, this was the best rally series in the past. The best one. There was no competitor. Toka tried to come close. They couldn't reach it.
I mean, there was, I don't know if you remember, there was the Richard Burns rally.
Yeah.
Which was super popular. And that was essentially
banned by this game, bro.
And then, because that's essentially what the Dirt Rally 1.0 and 2.0 were. That's like the closest we got. That was like hardcore simulators. And
Yeah.
then like Dirt 1, 2, 3, 4 were sort of like arcadey mixes.
Yeah.
Like it was the Simcade of the dirt racing. And essentially Dirt 5 was like, yo, you like Mario Kart?
That's exactly what
I
it is.
mean-
That's a really good example. It's like Project Cars 3 has done the same. It's like you're into Mario Kart. There you go. That's a game that is meant to be a simulator with real cars, but then you're driving a Mario Kart game.
I think from probably the publisher's perspective, I don't want to say they did something good or something bad. I'm just saying I imagine that they maybe, to play devil's advocate here, were like, okay, we have like this hardcore sim with rally, so now we need a Mario Kart racer, so just make the next Dirt a Mario Kart racer, and let's be done with it.
That's why they had Dirt Rally and Dirt as two essentially separate spin-offs of the same series. Dirt, like 1, 2, 3, the ones that were based around the Supercross, Gymkhana and stuff like that, they all had settings to essentially turn it into like a super arcade racer where you didn't have to bother with tuning and stuff like that. But it still gave you the option. Dirt 5 essentially just nukes any options. You have to just play it as a super arcade racer that just lacks any depth or reason to really like think about how you're driving. Like most of the races, I don't even have to let off the accelerator. Like I can get through the most of the course full speed without any issue, and that's just not fun. Even like as a kart racer, when you think about it, there's depth. Like you have the jump boosting in Mario Kart when you drift, or drift boosting where you essentially jump the corner, drift, and gain boost at the end. There is nothing like that. There is no mechanic to offset that lack of depth in a different way, push it into a different direction. Say it's not like, I would then compare it to Blur. Like Blur was had realistic cars, had realistic environments, and still pulled off like the super arcade way to race because they added power-ups, and like even the all the effects pushed the game into the territory of, I get it, this is a kart racer, and it is a kart racer with real cars that works because there is something built on top of that. Dirt 5 is just super flat. It has nothing other than just racing. There is no extra mechanic to really essentially make the shift towards that direction seem like it was worth it. Essentially, it feels just like dumbing down what was a perfectly fine series for no reason.
I don't know why, but it might be the tendency that we're getting lately. But it seems like we are starting to get those kind of like super arcade games, which they're fine, but we have we've turned into a complete, arcade difficult series when those series used to be a simulator in the past. Like talking about the Dirt series, that company has been probably go-to company in regards of in regards of like simulation and on PC and on console as well.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
mean-
really sad to have to see those series go such a route, because it's like you mentioned, actually, Bam Bam, when they had the Colin McRae series, it was a full-on sim. Obviously, full-on sim, quote-unquote, on that time. Obviously, there was not much they could do, but it felt good to drive those cars. And they had the Formula One, was really punishing as well. But then they started with the Dirt series, and increasingly more arcadey. This Dirt 5 is gone full-on arcade. It's full on arcade. There is absolutely no simulation on the game. I believe there is next to none. And it's just sad because, probably like you, I love the series.
Yeah, like the issue also comes down to like when you think about the cars, because the cars are each separated into different categories. It's like you obviously have your 80s classic, 90s classic, modern rally cars, trophy trucks, stuff like that, sprint cars. And then you just look at the statistics. All boils down to the performance rating and the handling rating. And essentially the only car ever you will pick up are the cars that have either A or S in the performance. And that's it. Like no other cars matter. Essentially, the handling rating doesn't mean anything, because unless you're absolutely inept any sort of driving in games, then the handling like doesn't matter. All you want is just like, okay, I need the fastest car, and that's all that matters. And then even like when you go online lobbies either are empty, or when you get into a race, everyone has that exactly same car because it's the fastest in its class.
Online racing on racing game. I mean, online on racing games is kind of different. It's difficult. It's a really difficult situation. I mean, I know very few games that are actually like good on online racing, and it's iRacing and probably a Zero Corsa.
At the ranked adventures in Forza Horizon 4, the
But
way
that is
you could-
it's arcade, isn't it? Kind of.
yeah, it's a simcade. It's like Gran Turismo. I like that because there you could tune up your cars, you could upgrade your cars,
Mhm.
and essentially have like a civic drive against like people in Aston Martins and other supercars. And
Yeah.
that gives like the variety to the multiplayer because you could tune up the cars. Like Forza Horizon 4 gets super in depth when it comes to car tuning. And that's great because you can tune up your car to whatever. It's like, okay, I want to try drifting, I want to try drag racing, I want to do circuit racing. Dirt, like the previous Dirt games and Colin McRae Rally games had the same, maybe not as in depth, but I could play with my gear ratios. I could play with the stiffness of my springs on my suspension, differential bias, the brake bias, stuff like that. And I like that. I like that technical side, and I will play with it. But then again, it's like I can even like Dirt 3, I can put it into hands of anyone who's not gonna play the game like that. Just set it to like easy driving model that will do everything for them. All they need to do is just like brake on time, and that's it. Essentially, just worry about the accelerator and the brake. Even for those people, I don't think Dirt 5 would be fun for more than like an hour. Then essentially we've seen everything, and yeah, there's not much really.
Yeah, exactly the same as Project Cars 3. It's a
Yeah.
game that dies. It died pretty quick, and for me, in my opinion, and it's not a game that I would play more than a couple of hours, and I would get bored because it's exactly the same. Every single car feels exactly the same. There is no difference. There is no challenge. The cars feel too planted. It's the arcade feeling to the cars. That's it. You know,
Yeah.
they have gone the full on. You can drive these cars with a controller, which I understand, but you still have to respect the people that still want the simulation aspect. They still want to drive with a driving wheel.
And they didn't even have a wheel support at launch.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, I was actually going to endorse my wheel for the 5, but I read about not having wheel support, and I was like, Jesus bloody Christ, it's so sad.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like I love arcade racers, but as I said, Dirt 5 is one of the worst examples of arcade racing because it's straight up doesn't have anything added on top of it. Any arcade racer like has that something like that one feature that will put it over the top and be like, okay, now I get it. Why it has to be like this. Dirt 5 is just, I think they just nuked any depth to make the bar of entry as low as possible to essentially get people in, but haven't thought about the ceiling that will essentially keep people playing until they hit it. You hit the ceiling in Dirt 5 in like, as I said, like in about an hour, and then you essentially it's just repeating all the same without any like interesting either circuit design or level design for the gymkhanas is just super basic. A lot of them feel like essentially just mishmash of parts of the larger courses from Dirt 3. So yeah, it's like haven't played really Dirt 4 that much, but I know people didn't like it either. And I think Dirt 5 might be even worse than that. I think people will start abandoning it really soon.
Dirt 5 is definitely worse than that one. I would say my kind of, not my favorite, but the one I really enjoyed the most out of the few last ones is Dirt 3, I would say.
Dirt 3 is, I like it. There's some design decisions.
It's still arcade.
Horrible.
It's still a bit arcadey. It does feel arcadey, but it's got a bit more depth. Yeah, like I said, they're trying to go the route of full on arcadey and simulate in some way what Forza Horizon is doing, and it's not easy. If you're trying to beat a game at its own game and its own thing, you got to do something really good, and it's not an easy thing. You can try, but in my opinion, you will fail because you have to nail it. Because the only 2 games that can do it, it's Gran Turismo on PlayStation and Forza on Xbox. And they have been doing it for how long? Over 10 years? You're not going to get to that level. I think they're just choosing the wrong path for their franchise, in my opinion, the way I say it. They were doing really well, and all of a sudden they want to go the route of Forza because they see how successful Forza is and how successful Gran Turismo is. I guess that's my guess. If you want to beat them at their game, you need a good over 10 years of experience on doing those games, because those games were pretty boring at the start. That's all we used to play because there was nothing else. They have come a long way. They have come a really long way. So it's kind of like, in my opinion, the way I would say it's like, just drop it. For God's sake, just drop it. Drop it and do what you used to do well, and don't change it. Don't change it.
Sure.
Maybe an arcade game sells a little bit less. Not arcade game, sorry. A simulation sells a little bit less. At least you're pleasing your audience. You are, I tried out. I think that the game was absolutely. I should not even have given it a chance, because I encourage people to skip Dirt 5. To be honest, the same thing as I said with Project Cars 3. I believe the games were not. It's not finished. One. A second, it's got not enough depth for you to play. So, in my opinion, it's not worth your money. I feel sad about that, because I do want those companies to do real well and just to smash it. Honestly, I'm not against any of the companies, but man, it feels bad to be, to be such a bad game. It's just a bad game.
Well, but you know what racing game you could recommend to everyone? Fast and
What
Furious.
racing game? Which one?
Fast and Furious.
There it is.
No, don't bring it back again, please. Oh
I'm
my
bringing
god,
it
it's
back.
that was like, oh my god. Yeah, talking about Project Cars 3, it's the same guys, isn't it?
It was the game. It was the game 2020 deserved.
Oh my goodness me! It is just a perfect example.
Yeah,
Oh my god!
It's also
Yeah.
really sad Dirt 5 being such a low effort from Codemasters, because then you look at like F1 2019, which is absolutely amazing. Like I
I would say
never
2020
really-
is even better. Huh?
or 2020, yeah, as well, because I never was really into like F1 racing. But the career mode and the stuff that makes you go through the career in F1, it's so much fun, and like there's so much depth when it comes to like adjusting your Formula One car.
Yeah,
It's
and
like
your team
and the
everything.
team and the management and stuff. Like there's so much to do in that game outside of just racing, which is still the main part. But they also put so much on top, and then you go into Dirt 5, which is just like half empty.
And
it's
like honestly, I've played obviously a lot of Formula One 2020. Been recording lots of gameplay, and it's just the game is absolutely brilliant. It's better than 19, and 19 was already really good. So I just loved how I would say they could have done more, but it's a good step from the previous one. That is a great series, and like what we was talking about, they had a brilliant series already. Like I don't know where the heck it come from. I don't know who decided to say, we are going to stop doing this. Like you have a very successful franchise already. But like what are you trying to accomplish by changing the whole thing? Like I don't understand it. If you got something that works, like why change it?
Yeah, and I will say in this case as well, and I will always defend somebody that is trying to do something in the pursuit of innovation, but this was not it at all. It was actually, I feel like it was the reverse. It felt like kind of going to a safety net, something that's been proven to work previously, but when you kind of separated yourself out a little bit, it almost has a negative effect. So I would have been more interested. I haven't played it, but at least I do keep an eye on it, because I always enjoy them when I am able to check them out. I like to see them innovate and look at things and trying something new, even if they get bamboozled with it. At least they tried something new, or they invested on what people enjoy from it. It feels like they missed the mark on this one. So
I completely see your point, Panda, and I completely agree with you. But we're talking about racing. There's only one thing you can do in racing. The car has to feel good to drive, and there is, unfortunately, that's it. There's only one thing you can do on racing. You cannot innovate much. It's driving, it's tracks, it's cars, the new cars and everything. But that's, to be honest with you, sadly, that's the only thing that changes on a racing game. Even though, trying to innovate, it's just, they changed completely a kind of like a sim, quote unquote, kind of like simcade kind of series to a full-on arcade series. That's not innovation. That's really just changing what you've been doing for the last 10 years. It kind of like feels bad to be expecting something completely different and then get presented with, a game that has, nothing that used to have if in the past, you know what I mean?
The feeling I had after playing Dirt 5 was the same feeling I had after playing Silent Hill 5 Homecoming, just utter disappointment.
Oof. Oof.
Ooh.
That's oof. Oh,
That's
that
nasty.
hurts. That hurts.
I mean, they both have a
Homecoming.
5 in the number, so.
Oh my
Yeah,
God, my
I
coffee
just
came out
realized
of
that I
my
was like,
nose,
okay,
man.
that's a comparison I'm gonna make because it's about like the same level of disappointment.
Jesus Christ. I freaking love you, Bam.
I'm just gonna go ahead and take Dirt 5 off my list then. Thank you.
Oh my God. Oh man. Oh, that was so good.
It was
And
just like
people still complain about Silent Hill 4. Imagine that.
yeah, and like the worst thing was I sat down with Dirt 5, I played it for like 2 hours straight. I turned it off, I was like, I got scammed.
Not to derail the conversation. I just want to go to a point. Wait, you're talking about Silent Hill 4: The Room, right, Orco?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People complain about it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, when it came out, dudes, you had no
Oh
clue.
my!
It
It was so good.
It is a good game. Yeah, it's just not a good Silent Hill, unfortunately.
I can see an argument to there, I suppose, but I enjoyed the playthrough so very much.
Silent Hill 4 is very underrated in my mind. Come at me, Silent Hill fans. I dare you. I double dare you. And
yeah.
Silent-
So yeah.
I think that's just we should just leave it there because I think we just
anyone?
touched
Yeah.
rock bottom on that on the conversation of the 5. So.
I agree, though.
Yeah,
I agree.
So yeah, exactly. I just wanted to ask if anybody has something to add.
Oh yeah,
other
it's the
than-
racer for TikTok generation.
I think Batman killed it.
Yeah, no.
I think Batman killed it completely.
I will say one thing. I want to acknowledge is as I do understand about where you're coming from in terms of the concept of it's just a driving game, so there's only a thing to expect from it. I will always challenge that perspective, only on the grounds of you sometimes, especially in a space that is very linear like that, the idea of there is just a single expectation. You never know, and I think that's the point of the point of innovating. But what they did was not that. So I agree with you. I want to clarify. I wasn't saying that they did with what Dirt 5 appears to be. This is not that. So I agree with you completely on the grounds. Is like I think there is a foundational expectation that if you are going to get a driving game, there's fundamental values of that game you expect to get. The innovation is in addition to those pieces. And I think where Dirt 5 seems to have goofed is not having a lot of those baselines, at least based on the feedback I saw from others. So I agree with you. I just wanted to clarify that point of when I'm referring to innovation, what I'm referring to, not necessarily saying that it has to revamp a model that is expected. You know what? Does that make sense?
I think you just said it, like your sentence is basically the highlight of the whole thing, the fundamental values.
If we're talking like racers that I would recommend instead of Dirt 5, like if you want to go into more out there and something that's not really like common to see, I'd totally recommend there's a indie racer called Distance, which is like a cyberpunky horror racer that hosts essentially the main mode of the game is a story. Essentially, you're racing through like a crumbling environment that also has like a slight tinge of cosmic horror, and it's still a really cool racing game with also some like light thing of platforming. There's some flight sections as well, so that's a really cool one. Like if you want to do something other than just pure racing, I think Distance is great. The soundtrack's amazing as well.
And if you want something that is less out there, just go for Wreckfest.
Yeah, that's completely different. If I can give another suggestion, one suggestion that I would give is iRacing is a very expensive game. It's a full-on simulator on PC only, and it's beautiful. It's the closest simulation game that you will ever find on anything, on any platform, any game ever. iRacing is just absolutely brilliant in that regard. It's very expensive though, but it's a good full-on simulator. And two, it's always gonna be kind of like it's a simulate. It's a 90% simulator. I would say it's Assetto Corsa Competizione, which I believe is only GT3 racing, which is obviously the most popular kind of like racing out there apart from Formula One. So those are the two full-on simulators. I believe Assetto Corsa Competizione is actually on console as well. Those are the two that I would go for if you want a full-on simulator. If you want a crossover which plays well, if you're on PlayStation, go for Gran Turismo. There is no way around it. And if you're on Xbox, go for Forza. I would say those two games have found the perfect balance between a simcade and, a simulator and an arcade game, racing game. And those are the best two, in my opinion.
Or like if you're going better.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, if I can throw a recommendation out there as well, a game you should definitely check out is a game called Wheelman. You play as Vin Diesel, and he gets to yeet from one car to another. It's a pretty hilarious and pretty enjoyable time.
Oh, I remember that.
It is called The Wheelman, and it's just Vin Diesel yeeting from car to car.
Oh, there's also, doesn't the game have posters of him within the game?
It does. The game has advertisements taken out in the game for the game you are playing. It is wonderful.
Yeah.
Sounds like the same kind of vanity piece that was 50 Cent Blood in the Sand.
It is very much in that.
Where you go to Iraq and have a concert, and that some Iraqis steal your diamond encrusted skull or something.
Sorry, I just every time I think of racing games, I always just have that horror fest burned in the back of my mind.
Whatever happened to the Stuntman series, actually, when it comes to racing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I remember it was like late PS2, early PS3, 360, right?
It was a goofy good time.
Yeah, that was a great game. They didn't have like a Indiana Jones stage.
Yes.
Jeep through like
Dude.
Middle East.
Like, literally, Stuntman Ignition was on the 360. I still remember that. That game was hard as balls. To ace that stuff, you gotta be good. And to make an obvious joke, it was the Dark Souls of Stuntman games. Alright, there is nothing more to add. Let's move on. Let's talk about TikTok a little bit. And I would say that Mr. Val over here spearheads this conversation and tells us all what he thinks about TikTok, because TikTok is a very influential platform on streaming these days, apparently. I would just say it's a platform that is highly questionable.
It is highly questionable. Regarding TikTok and the streaming world, I would say there's been some really good success stories that I've been seeing lately. I'm starting to see more and more often. Not everyone, obviously. Every one successful person is probably about 100,000 other people trying the same and it's not working. I would have to say there's some really good success and people that have done really well on TikTok and it's worked out for them. And I actually think it's starting to be more influential on the gaming community than, I dare to say, Twitter and Instagram, in my opinion. They're starting to be really, really influential. And there is there's some really good stuff. There is a lot of bad stuff as well. But there's some really good stuff. And I would say just kind of take it. It used to be more of a joke before, but now it's starting to be a bit more serious and people are starting to get more serious into TikTok and starting to adapt, onto like TikTok, onto the obviously the platform, as you guys know, it's a 1080 by 920. So obviously it's not, what we used to. We used to, do the 1920 by 1080. So now everyone is adapting clips onto that format, and YouTube is trying to copy that with YouTube Shorts. In my opinion, it's actually, it's starting to be relevant, starting to be really relevant onto, the streaming world and the gaming world. And a lot of people are starting to push into TikTok and making content for TikTok rather than, I've seen a lot of people kind of pushing more TikTok and forgetting about, the YouTube stuff and all that, because TikTok is starting to be even more influential in regards of bringing, because at the end of the day, as a streamer, as a content creator, what you want and why we create content on different platforms is because we want to bring everyone onto the live platform. Maybe if you're creating content on Instagram clips, or you're creating content on extra videos for YouTube, but then you stream on Twitch 4 or 5 days a week. So obviously you want to bring them all to your live streams. It seems like nowadays the most influential one and the one that is bringing the most people over to your Twitch is TikTok. And whether we like it or not, that's true. And that's happening. There is also another factor, which is the age of the audience on TikTok, which obviously it's a lot younger audience. Not everyone though, but there is, probably a higher percentage of a younger audience than, I would say, I don't know, YouTube maybe, or Instagram or Twitter. I mean, there's a lot of people like different ages, but I would say maybe it's a little bit more, a bit younger. So still being, even though it's a younger audience, it's still being very relevant. And now I would say even more relevant than any other platform. I would say if you like even creating content on YouTube is not as relevant as creating content on TikTok, to be honest with you. If you kind of become successful on TikTok nowadays, pushes hard your live stream content. And that is a huge, it's a U-turn, because the people that have been creating content for longer, we are used to creating the content on, clips for Instagram maybe and stuff like that, just kind of like creating something there. But then our focus was more like YouTube, YouTube kind of like links to Twitch in, one way and the other. So it's always been like a two-way street. And now we get TikTok, which has come right onto the middle and has basically split the whole thing. And somehow TikTok can get you a ton of viewers, even more than they used to get from YouTube. I've been reading a lot and I've been watching a lot lately. It really does. It really does interest me. It really does. And it's something new. And it's actually, even if it's something new and it's something that it's happening, I would say it's even more relevant. I see what's going on. I've been reading and I've been watching and I've been kind of like tracking a lot of people. And, you can track like hashtags and stuff. And it is way more relevant. I would say 3 times as relevant as YouTube in terms of bringing people over to Twitch. I'm talking specifically on Twitch. Obviously, I'm not talking about Trovo. I'm not talking about maybe YouTube gaming or like live streaming on YouTube, or I'm not talking about any other. I'm talking about Twitch because it's the one that I'm kind of like studying. It's the one that I'm watching. It's the one that I'm listening to, and it's the one that I kind of like interested in now, because obviously we are all on Twitch. So obviously it's what really interests all of us, and it's having a huge impact. It's literally, I would say, 3-4 times more influence than anything you do on YouTube. And at some point, you can actually make money out of TikTok as well, which you can monetize your TikTok. The platform is strong. Whether we like the platform or not, there is a lot of there is a lot of trashy stuff on TikTok as well. Obviously, I'm not going to say TikTok is perfect because it isn't. There is a lot of like things going around and there's like weird stuff going on TikTok and everything. But regarding that specific thing, regarding streaming, regarding gaming, and the whole world of, the whole bubble of that kind of thing, I would say it is very, very influential for your live streaming. So opinions, guys? I don't want to hog the whole conversation.
I don't use TikTok. I don't engage with TikTok in any way. So I'm going to say that my pretty much only experience of watching anything from TikTok is watching a podcast of a comedian who plays the worst TikToks that are on TikTok from people that probably don't know how TikTok works, or really sketch people using TikTok. So yeah, like I have probably like that other like really like extreme side, like skewed experience with TikTok. So I can't really say anything much of it, because all I know is like the really weird people in TikTok or all the drama that comes out of TikTok.
You can add a pin drop to that. That's a very important point that you bring up, Bam Bam.
Yeah, so that's my own experience with TikTok. And pretty much before I even like tried engaging with TikTok normally, I just got driven off by the way it appears from my first view of the platform, which is like, okay, it's full of weirdos and people I don't really want to, know any more about. So goodbye.
You can actually create your own what things you want to see. Did you know that?
Yeah, I know, because because as I said, like I watched a podcast, and one of the presenters essentially she says that she essentially likes and watches specific TikToks, so she gets all the weird ones in her feed, and I get that. But at the same time, just because I know there is like that really seedy underbelly, it just makes me not want to engage with the platform.
Orco, how are you feeling, buddy?
So here's my thing. I on one side with Val, because I acknowledge that the platform can do a lot of good for you, especially when it comes to live streaming and pushing your content there. I'm a little bit salty in that regard because my videos don't do anything over there, seemingly. I don't know what to do. And that is what makes me kinda salty, I guess. Because I think I have good content. I think I have good stuff to offer. But people on TikTok do not want to watch it. So I have to maybe see what they want to watch actually.
Something that I want to tell you right there, Orko, sorry. The algorithm with TikTok is like, it's not that people don't want to watch it, it's like TikTok has to put you up there. That's TikTok. In that regard, TikTok works in the exact same way as YouTube. Basically, they put on YouTube and they, YouTube, at some point, the algorithm of YouTube, they will put you on everyone's page and everyone will start watching you. So TikTok in that regard is exactly the same. The discoverability is exactly the same. There is one point where TikTok will put you up there and they will put you on everyone's page. And that's when you have to grab it. That's the one moment. When they put you up there, it's the one moment where you have to hook people in. And it works in the exact same way. It's just no one really knows how it works. Everyone says the hashtags and FYP and whatnot. It doesn't really work like that. It's just the algorithm. I think it's just kind of randomized. You just pick one person, one hashtag, they pick up one of your posts and they make it viral. And from that point on, it's up to you to grab those people in, if you get what I mean. Does that make any sense? Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, so I haven't been grabbed then, I guess.
I actually have quite a few things. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Let
Orco,
me
please go ahead.
just one moment. And on the other hand, I'm kind of like with Bam Bam in the sense that there is like this absolutely seedy underbelly I actually do not want to associate with. And I'm like split down the middle when on one hand it seems to be needed for success. On the other hand, you have so many issues like Chinese, and I mean that's gone, but like that it was owned by the Chinese government, or is it still owned by the Chinese government? Then you have like the
I don't think any changed about that. I think it's still like
Okay.
under 10 cent.
Then you have the thing with the predators there. Then you have other stuff going on, which is kind of. But let's not go into that. But it's the platform has a huge amount of issues, but which platform doesn't? So it just is a question on how you look at these issues and how amplified they are, really.
Yeah. So a couple things, and I'm going to be a little disjointed here because I want to go with the topics that are top of mind. First and foremost, I do want to stress that it is definitely me. I will always argue there's a false equivalency that happens when there is an argument about specific content that's available. And the only reason that I say that is, and I want to be very before I say any of this, I always have to be transparent. Number one, I don't know what the bamboo I'm doing. This is an opinion. I am very new to a lot of this, so please take that at face value. And second, I try to look at this as close to looking at everything that's available to make sure that if we're going to challenge a specific platform for something, is it a normality or is it something that stands alone? So I do want to be very clear is when we talk about that seedy underbelly, I do understand where you're coming from. And I want to jump back to that pin drop I mentioned, Bam Bam, because there's a very important point about that I want to reference. but that exists across the board. YouTube is, and you can just look at their track record. That is just as much existent as it is, I would argue, on TikTok as well. It's finding it can be more difficult, but it's there. And a lot of the history, if you look over, especially the last 2 years of some of the stuff that's been having to be implemented, it's there. Twitch has that same problem as well, but it's about weeding out that kind of content that sometimes becomes very difficult to do. So I'm not excusing it, but I do want to always acknowledge that that is an ongoing problem regardless of your platform, and that if anybody here has that concern, regardless of what platform that you use, you should always be on alert. You should always be mindful of what you're watching and where you're watching, because that is not a platform issue. That is a general issue. So I want to make that as something very, very clear. But to that point, Bam Bam, when you mentioned about that, and this is where I agree with you, Val, in terms of the algorithm to a degree. One thing that I've learned on TikTok, being on it as the time that I have, is that TikTok has these segments that have been created, where on YouTube, if you watch a consistent number of videos, you start picking up specific trends that are related to those videos that you have watched. TikTok kind of goes in a different route, where you end up on what basically it's nicknamed as a specific type of TikTok. Like, there is a streamer TikTok that exists. There is a Minecraft TikTok that exists. There's a cat talk. There is a, what was the one that I found that made me giggle? Spider sex talk. That is a sect that exists within TikTok. And the idea is you have these groups of individuals that have these similar interests, that they make similar content, and as you start to watch and you start to engage in that content, it starts to not only appear more frequently for you, but it also pushes out to that content as well. The challenge in Orco, to your point, because I agree. I think the content that you put on TikTok is solid. I like it when I see you pop up. You pop up because you are a friend on TikTok for me more than anything, versus a lot of the organic I've noticed. And Val has just now started appearing for me as well, because we're now friends on there as well. Previously, neither of you showed up, because again, it's the way the algorithm works. But what I found is that in my experience so far through the videos that I've posted, it's random AF when you will have something that picks up. So what I've seen with a lot of the streamer TikTok individuals, kind of out what you're referencing, that have had that moment of explosion and they've integrated that successfully, they've benchmarked off of something that has picked up. So I like to think of Forrest Dump as one of my favorite examples that has leveraged that model very well. And when he found that niche that works well on TikTok, he invests and he has developed that specific area to continue to grow and trend in that way, to the point now where he's live on TikTok at the same time he's live on Twitch to integrate those folks over. So there's a powerful model, Val, to your point, I think, that exists there that can be integrated very well. But that threshold, it's not like, the idea is like with YouTube, you can trust a lot of your hashtags and things like that. It's a hit or miss with TikTok, my experience so far. I've had a video that I thought was like, it's okay. It's not my best, but I it's my latest one. I've seen success through that, and ones that I thought were very brotastic, but they didn't say the same thing, even though it's hitting the exact same market. It just depends on who and what you're trying to attract. So I think it's very interesting that it's a case of once you end up on streamer TikTok, you will start seeing you'll start seeing that internal growth from there. But it's like being able to identify your content that it belongs in that group is very difficult. And the last thing that I'll say, and I'll get done blabbing here. I apologize. I love, Val, kind of a point that you made. I do want to benchmark off that, which is, we always have to remember that TikTok is not a new formula. It is very much something that has been, from the rubble of something else that fell. So, you and I realize it as a fall, but I mean, you go trace all the way back to like Newgrounds or even like a Homestar Runner formula where you had these quick clip, quick grab attention and go kinds of mediums, and that evolved eventually over to what Vine used to be. And Vine introduced that concept of instantaneous gotcha humor, and that in itself spawned what I think has been a lot of TikTok success. The challenge I've seen with TikTok is the type of humor and the medium that exists there. It doesn't match a streamer perspective so much. So it's like it's very much a case of when you are making clips and things like that and you're converting them to work for TikTok, the expected range is a 15-second window. Up to a minute you can go, but it's like you got 15 seconds to show what you can do, and if you don't grab attention in that short time span, then you could be SOL, because somebody's going to keep scrolling, because you have to have that quick gotcha, something there to grab the attention and go. And that's the biggest struggle with converting that audience to a Twitch environment, because if you create content that's designed for a 15-second window, being able to bring that person to somewhere that you are creating content for 3+ hours potentially, that's a huge struggle. So you have to be very careful that when you start to invest in that, I think the way that you model yourself is very important, because if you create content on TikTok that just 15-second gotcha stuff, that it's not going to match your potential TikTok, your Twitch experience. But doing like your Twitch clips and doing those highlights and bringing that over, people know what they're coming for, which is a broader experience of that. So that's kind of my initial points I wanted to throw out there, just to benchmark what y'all were saying, if that makes sense.
To your point, I also see that the way that actually you can monetize your TikTok now, which not now, you can monetize your TikTok from a certain point, and that could actually bring revenue onto yourself. You know what I mean? So it's not only, even though if it doesn't bring as many people or you know what I mean onto your stream or onto your live service, it's still monetizing you.
Agreed. And just I want to bench just
because at the end of the day, it's a job. Sorry,
Right,
sorry. Yeah, go on.
Go ahead.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
you
you're
two.
fine. You
Decide.
are fine. Yeah, no, you're fine. I do want to clarify that I am very much in favor of making content there. I think TikTok is a wonderful place that everybody should consider investing in. And I agree with you completely, Val. And just to clarify, I think that diversification is important because of those values. So I'm not saying against it. I just wanted to clarify that. Just know that when you are creating content there, you should look at it as its own entity, not necessarily something to just bring to Twitch, because it's its own entity. That's all that I meant. Sorry. Just wanted to clarify that.
Well, yeah, that's, I think it's becoming, and it's not going to slow down anytime soon. I think it's becoming really strong. And the whole lockdown thing going on everywhere has made it even more of a thing, even more relevant. And it's triggered completely what TikTok has become now in regards to content creation. I would say, it's exactly that. It's just it can bring a lot of people around, and the fact that you can monetize after, I think it's about 10,000 people that you have, 10,000 followers, you can apply for monetization. It's actually easy, quote unquote. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's easier to get 10,000 on TikTok than 4,000. No, I'm sorry. Excuse me. It's easier to get 10,000 on TikTok, 10,000 followers on TikTok than 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, because YouTube will ask you to create content perfectly. I mean, it requires time from you, because YouTube, you cannot. I mean, you can post whatever you want to YouTube. Obviously, your content will be successful on YouTube if you invest time on it and you do it well and you do something creative that attracts people. You don't like on TikTok. It literally takes you 5 minutes to create a video. It takes you 5 minutes to create a video, which is under 1 minute, and it can break monetization a lot faster than YouTube. And YouTube requires 8 hours of editing to create one video, which can literally bring you 30 viewers only, or 30 views onto the stream. So
I see that.
Yeah.
Let me just hook in
Yeah.
here. I see that point, but it's also like it's like with Twitch, it's like with YouTube, and it's with like it's kind of still playing the lottery because there is no
Agreed.
actual way to gauge how to get into the algorithm. Your argument is very good. Well, I don't want to take away the argument. What you said, I see that as well. You create a, let's call it, subpar clip. You didn't really make or didn't really put any effort into it. I don't want to say really any effort into it. It's more freeform, let's say that, compared to YouTube. And you still can get into the algorithm and you still can get your 10K followers. But I will still say it's playing lottery. It's with the hosts on Twitch. This is even less of a chance, possibly. It's with YouTube going into the algorithm in YouTube. It's also playing the lottery. I mean, you will eventually go into the algorithm of YouTube at one point. You just have to keep at it for a very long time. I think Twitch and YouTube are more of a very big time investment. And on TikTok, you can blow up immediately, but it's also, like I said, playing lottery.
Yeah, but like to your point, the algorithm on YouTube, the algorithm on Twitch is non-existent.
Yeah, there's no algorithm.
Yeah, there is no algorithm at all. The algorithm on YouTube, it's another lottery. It's exactly the same. That you just said it. It's exactly the same. It's a full-on lottery. You may be, like you said, if you keep at it, you may be at one point into the algorithm from YouTube. There is thousands and thousands of people who are never on the algorithm. You know what I mean? Like you still on TikTok, it's just, it's a faster way. You playing the lottery, yeah. There is, it's difficult to find out the algorithm. Yeah, you probably never find out how the algorithm works because, to be honest with you, the way I actually do believe both YouTube and TikTok. I'm comparing both because they both have kind of like a similar. Say that again, sorry.
They don't want you to know how the algorithm works, so you cannot
Exactly.
manipulate it.
I think I do believe, honestly, and I'm gonna put my tinfoil hat on right now. I do believe there's no really an algorithm. They just randomly pick one channel and they put a video up, and that channel might blow up just because people like it and they want to keep watching more content, and that's it. They just randomly pick one channel and that they put it up there for everyone. And if people start clicking on it, you may start rolling from that point on.
Tinfoil hat on, I say it's just what the Chinese government wants you to see.
I'm talking about both YouTube and
I was specifically
TikTok.
talking about TikTok and made a bad joke.
Yeah. So I'm honestly being honest. Putting my tinfoil hat on, I think both of them work on that way. Just randomly pick one person, pick one post, put it up there, make it viral, and you can make it from that point on, or you can't. I mean, doesn't change anything. I got a complete irrelevance with my content post with just one hashtag, and it's gone completely viral. It's got already over 51,000 views, and not like my other posts don't reach 1,000. So, which is my real content.
I don't even reach 500. I've never reached 500 on any post.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's like it's very random. They just put one of your posts up there, and that is your breakout moment. It will happen or it won't happen. That's it. But I honestly think, I'm telling you, I think it's completely random. I think it's a complete randomized thing. They pick one post from one channel and they put it up there. That's it. That's the one post. And then if you start rolling from that point, it's because people stick with you. If they don't, that's it. That just move on, and that's about it.
You wouldn't be surprised. And also, if you're right.
TikTok works on the same way. If you let me finish 1 second, Panda. TikTok works on exactly the same way as YouTube because it's kind of like it's a snowball. It starts rolling. So basically, you watching, TikTok works if you like the content, if you watch the whole thing until the finish. So you start watching more of that hashtag, more of that stuff. If you skip it, then TikTok will kind of like show you less and less of that, and then you can just hold it down and you say, I don't want to watch this content. And TikTok will avoid completely, will try to avoid showing you content with those hashtags specifically. On YouTube kind of works the same way, because if you start going down to watch a video on a tutorial on how to, I don't know, put a frame, and then you watch another video, and then you watch another video, they will start showing you more and more videos of exactly the same, maybe from the same channel, maybe from another channel, and they will start showing you videos. If you watch 3 videos from the same channel, they will show you even more on the feed. So TikTok works exactly the same way. So if you watch 3 times someone that has a hashtag streamer, believe me, your feed will start being full of a hashtag streamer, like one after the other, one after the other, one after the other. That's how the algorithm works. But I believe that in order for you as a content creator to be up there, it's just completely random. Completely random. YouTube kind of has the search tool, which TikTok already do as well, but no one goes searching nothing on TikTok. If I'm honest with you, it's very, very rarely you search something on TikTok. YouTube works on a different way, because obviously it's also connected to Google, and obviously you search for something and you can pop up in there, which still is randomized. In order for you to be there, you can still search for it. People search for that specific word on that specific hashtag or that specific thumbnail that attracts people, or whatever you put on the title. So that's the way kind of works on YouTube and everything. Still, you have kind of like discoverability, completely random, but then you can search for it. TikTok it works only with the random part of it. That is the only difference I see. I mean, after reading a lot and after watching a lot and after kind of like trying to see how everything works, honestly, that's how it works, in my opinion. That's how it works, as far as I know. I am no expert, but as far as I know, I can tell you guys that's how it works. And you're all going quiet on me.
So no, you're fine. So I will challenge that a little bit. No, I agree with the perspective, Val, completely. I just the one argument I would make is I think the platform that you're comparing it to, I think is I think the healthier comparison to TikTok is not YouTube, but Twitter. And the reason why I say that is the majority of users on TikTok are FYP scrollers. It is not looking for a specific type of content. It is once you've gotten invested in TikTok, it's very rare you will leave your FYP unless there are dedicated individuals you follow. Because the algorithm, it learns you very, very well, and I think it does that successfully. Work is it, which is a good and a bad thing in some degrees. But what I've seen is the reason why I make the claim of Twitter more so than YouTube is YouTube does have a trending perspective, but it's not necessarily localized to you. So there is the trending that exists on YouTube as a whole. And then when something new or something that's coming out, there are hashtags, especially if you use like I cannot remember the YouTube app, which I always highly recommend if anybody creates content on YouTube.
The studio?
TubeBuddy. TubeBuddy is a wonderful extension you can get on YouTube that runs analytics for you. It can rate specific hashtags. It gives you like that natural organic, like these are the things that you should introduce into yours depending on when you're posting certain things. So you have that organically, but it's not naturally there. Whereas with Twitter, as an example, you will always see 2 distinct types of trends. You are seeing the overarching things that are trending for words and hashtags, and then there's a localized trending that happens as well based on your content, who you're following, what you're seeing, what you're doing. That Twitter will pick up on as well. So and if you think of Twitter, it very much becomes the same thing. Unless you are going after somebody's specific content, a lot of the time you log on, you're checking Twitter, you're scrolling, you're looking to see what's the latest, what's going on. And it is very much, it's done as an organic experience and supposed to be natural because it's a daily, oh, let's check the latest tweets. What's going on there? How's my engagement looking? And I feel like TikTok follows that model so much more because a lot of your TikTok trends are based off of those wholehearted those trends that take place. That's why you see so many people that when they create something, whoever the original creator of a specific sound or a particular trend, most of the time isn't the one that ends up blowing up from that trend. It's somebody that picks up on top of that and actually explodes that actual trend itself. So it's very often you will see that where a lot of your trendsetters that exist on TikTok, the initial person is not the one that usually explodes off of that. And it's always such a fascinating thing to see. And then once somebody explodes off it, you have other people benchmarking off of it, trying to innovate that. And the algorithm goes on. So I feel like, at least in my experience, that while I do understand the comparison to YouTube and TikTok, I always want to at least, I always like to throw the curveball of thinking of it more of your experience on Twitter, because both of the way you handle TikTok as a user is the same way you would handle Twitter in a lot of cases. Because it's very rare, at least my experience on YouTube, that you'll spend a lot of time just scrolling through videos. You go on YouTube, either you click on a video or you go for a thing and then you spiral through videos versus what's on your main page and what's organically there. It's just a perspective. I'm a wordy panda today. I'm so sorry.
I kind of disagree with you in regards of Twitter. I think I disagree with you. Twitter shows you what you want. It doesn't. You still see things that you want to see. Does that make any sense?
To a degree. I mean, there are things that show up on Twitter for me that's the same way. I mean, like I said, I think there's a strive for it in that.
If you follow a hashtag, if you don't follow a hashtag, you don't get shown anything. Yeah.
Again, I think again, it's how you utilize the platform, and it's completely fine. And I'm not, you do not have to agree with the perspective. That's completely fine. It's just I always try to separate myself as a user and as a content creator when I look at a platform, and so I'm talking from a user experience, not necessarily an actual content perspective.
Yeah, but you specifically have to follow a hashtag in terms of Twitter for you to go to see content. Specifically on TikTok, you get shown stuff. You get shown every 2 or 3 videos, you get shown a different hashtag, which you never knew about. And, kind of, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm comparing TikTok algorithm to kind of YouTube, because YouTube will do exactly the same thing, because YouTube will show you 3 videos, one from the same person, another one from the same subject, another one from the same subject, different channels, and the 4th one is a different one. The 5th one is a different one. And then they will show you again, same subject, same channel. So it works on a different, exact same way. Different way of putting it onto your face, putting it on the screen, but it works on a different, exactly the same way. So it's very similar. That's why I'm comparing it to YouTube, because YouTube will do that. Obviously, will show you. It will not force it to you. TikTok does force it into you. TikTok show it to you because there is no other way. There is no dashboard or nothing. You're just scrolling through the videos. So basically, TikTok will show you a streamer, a girl dancing half naked, streamer, a guy doing a joke, streamer. You know what I mean?
Right. And just to clarify, I'm not saying that TikTok and YouTube do not have similarities. Just my point being is, especially if you're somebody that is looking to engage, improve, enhance, innovate the way that you utilize the platform, just comparing YouTube to TikTok, I don't think you will see success in that. That was more of the point that I was going for, because there is a similarity that exists there, but they are in no shape, form, or fashion cut from the same cloth. That's the only point that I meant there. So you're right. I agree with you completely, Val. I want to be cautious on the grounds of, you will see the same results from one that you would with the other. That's all that
Mhm.
I mean. So we agree. I just wanted to clarify that with my experience when I first started utilizing the platform. And again,
Mhm.
I also, again, my first point, I don't know what the bamboo I'm doing. And two, everybody's experience with the platform may be different, but
Mhm.
I have seen that I found myself more comfortable leaning on trying to benchmark off of the way that I utilize like Twitter a lot more than I have with YouTube. But again, that's just a perspective. But I think there's something from both platforms that you can use to make and utilize that better. I would always caution somebody to say one platform, you can utilize that model for everything you do. That's the area you just have to be careful with. So I agree with you completely. That was just the point that I wanted to make to add on to that. So
I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously, you actually mentioned. I think it was you actually mentioned the what was it? Different platform we used to have in the past, which was Vine. Yeah. So we have
Yeah.
Vine in the past. So I think Vine disappeared at some point. Obviously, Vine was only 7 seconds, which was very different. Technology wasn't there. Not all phones were fully. Now everyone has the phone. Everyone is recording stuff. Everyone is like, which is very sad. If there is a fight, everyone pull out the phone instead of breaking up the fight. You know what I mean? We have come to this time now of everyone is just one, instead of helping, pull up the phone and record it. That's why I think a lot of people started TikTok as a joke, did not believe TikTok was going to go anywhere. And now some people like me, I'm one of them. I mean, I completely, I admit it. I started TikTok as a joke and I didn't care about TikTok at all. And then after seeing what TikTok can do, and after seeing how it could not just benefit you in the content creation, but I have seen how it could be like not just helpful, but it's also a lot quicker than creating a YouTube video that will take me about 7 hours to create. So
agree completely on all of that.
I've seen, obviously you have to find a balance. It's something quick. Like you create a video in literally 5 minutes. It just takes you 5 minutes only to create the whole thing. So you have to consider it. You have to start considering, how important, how relevant it can be. Obviously, it's not going to give you success though, because with this, I'm not saying it's going to give you any success, because there is every one success case, there is 50,000 non-successful cases. Like I said, it's my point is don't sleep on it, because the monster is fully awake now, and that monster is called TikTok. So I was kind of like, I started as a joke, and I think it's very relevant now. I do believe it, and I would honestly not focus only on that. Obviously, create content on your usual platforms that you create content to, because Instagram is a very solid established platform. YouTube is a very solid established platform, which I believe is never gonna go away. TikTok is kind of the baby in all of them, and it might disappear one day. Who knows? But right now it's up there. It's like it's on the verge of being the most influential one. So that's what I'm trying to say. That's what my point is. That's what,
I think that's a good point to end it here.
Okay. Yep.
Or does anybody want to add anything? Silence.
Yeah.
Only silence has been added.
Only.
Only the silence will talk. Okay. And we will talk next week. So tell us where we find you in the meantime.
Me?
No.
Right.
The other Val in the room.
So you can find me on Twitch and on TikTok. And on YouTube, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. I'm Lord Val Gaming everywhere. The only place that I'm Lord Val Twitch is on Twitter, because someone has taken my name. That person, please give it back. And also you can find Stream Jams, which is the copyright-free music, on Spotify, on Apple Music, on every single music streaming platform, just by searching Lord Val Gaming, or on Spotify you can search Stream Jams and it will appear. I think, yeah, that's about it.
Professor Panda, where can we find you?
Orco, thanks for another brotastic stream. Thank you for inviting me on here. You can find us promoting Panda Positivity on Twitch, on YouTube, TikTok, the Gram, and I mean, pretty much if you need me, just call me. I'm here to root for you and how we can. But you can find me on those platforms with the same name, Professor_Panda.
Perfect.
Appreciate your time, everybody.
And Bum Bum, you are in my chat.
Yeah, every once in a
Like
while.
always,
Yeah,
sacrificing orphans to the elder gods.
that's how we roll.
That's how we roll. And you can find me on Twitch and Twitter at the Orcosaurus, and everywhere else on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, Orcosaurus. And with that, I close out the show. Thank you everyone for participating. It was an absolute blast. And you everyone take very good care of yourselves. Until next time. Bye bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Be good people.